Hey guys, welcome back. So in keeping with my promise, this is probably my second or third, depending on what gets posted next, video of the year. So like I said, at least 2 videos every month, and we're doing it. This is hopefully going to be a very, very short video, but first of all, how are you doing? Did you watch the last video? If you didn't, please go back and watch it. It's very, very important for people who are taking gap years or who are thinking about taking a gap year. Yeah, important stuff. I'm not gonna give you any more. But yeah, today I got this very, very, just trying to cover my details, very, very important piece of paper that came in the mail. And I am thinking, well, I will be speaking about it today. Now, if you can read that clearly, so it's from the BMA, and it's the BMA. It says hashtag BMA ballot ready. Vote yes for pay restoration. Now, before I even go into this, I've literally just tried to rip it open now, but I haven't opened the contents. I don't know what exactly is inside. We're going to do that together. But yeah, before I do this, I wanted to quickly share something interesting that happened last week or so. So I went out with my friend, and on my way back home I was in a taxi, and lovely elderly gentleman, he asks me, so we get talking, one thing led to another, and then it's like, oh, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I'm a doctor. He's like, I get that a lot because I don't look old enough to be a doctor, apparently, to some people. But yeah, it's like medical doctors, like, yeah. And then he goes, what do you think about the strike? And call it me being diplomatic or whatever, I took the opportunity to sort of turn the question around, and I was like, oh yeah, what are your thoughts on the strike? And then he goes, well, I have this friend and that friend, and I think they earn quite well, pretty much trying to insinuate that he doesn't understand why doctors would be striking. And I just sort of sat there in the back of the taxi, like nodding away, and I was like, well, that's good. I bet your friends are probably GPs. I was like, yeah, GPs. Like, oh, great. And I was just like, started out with the basics. First of all, everybody who is below a consultant level or a GP level is a junior doctor. So your SD5 specialty trainee that has spent 7 years, 5 years in specialty training, SD5, is a junior doctor. Yes, they might be a senior registrar or whatever, but they're junior doctors as well. Now, your junior doctors, I don't think any one of them that is in training gets more than, or even up to actually £30 an hour. Yeah. And these are people who have spent 5 to 6 years, sometimes more, in medical school. They have spent countless hours on the ward looking after, maybe one of the 2 of them might have looking after family members, but they're looking after lives. Lives are literally in our hands. We're doing all of this with, some of us have other things on the side where people have families. You're missing out on events. I have been a Grinch. Well, I'm now a repentant Grinch, so maybe no longer a Grinch, but like, because of obviously went to school in a place where Christmas wasn't the same as Christmas for everybody else, so I didn't celebrate Christmas for about 6 years of my life. So I didn't have a concept of Christmas by the time I was done. So like, what I'm trying to say is that doctors actually sacrifice a lot, right? You go through training, and now the financial implications as well. You go to medical school, the average UK grad will come out with tens of thousands of pounds in debt. You probably are going to spend the next few years paying up that debt, right? And then all the exams that we take, most of them we get to pay for them as well, right? Yeah, they're not cheap, so you're spending hundreds of pounds as well paying for professional exams. And after all of this, actually, just the fact that somebody's life is in your hands, like, and the conditions that we work under, that I feel like that's enough reason, enough incentive to actually say, you know what, you're doing all of this work, you don't have a life any longer, your family is suffering, you're sacrificing, well, suffering. So yeah, you should get paid well. Yeah, I couldn't say all of that. All I could sort of say is, well, everybody actually below your friends are, in fact, junior doctors, and somebody who's recently graduated and spent 5 years in school is only getting paid a measly £14 an hour for that level of training, for that level of skill, for that level of responsibility. So yeah, I'm just going to show you that again. Vote yes for pay restoration. Now let's open this and see what this actually says. So it's orange, very eye-catchy. So I'm just gonna cover my details here. Just make sure that I don't have any other identifiable information. I don't think I do. All right, great. So yeah, that's just that. So it says Junior Doctors England, British Medical Association. Okay, there's nothing in this one. So I think it's pretty straightforward. So this is what it looks like. Junior doctors pay disputes in England. Vote by marking a cross in the box next to your chosen answer. Yeah, are you prepared to take part in the strike action? So it says yes or no, but obviously, yeah. Okay, and then there's I guess important bits that need to actually be known and remembered. Return instructions. It says, please return your completed ballot paper in the prepaid envelope. That is this one. So we actually get a prepaid envelope actually to help us return that one. So please return your completed ballot paper in the prepaid envelope provided. It should be received by the Independent Scrutineer Civica Election Services sometime in London, no later than 12 noon on Monday the 20th of February. And I remember, also the author says, your vote is completely secret. Please do not remove the number from the corner of your ballot paper, as this will invalidate your vote. So obviously, first of all, if you've not received your ballot and you're a member of the BMA, they've advised to try and make sure that you reach out to them. I will try and see if I can find the email address and attach that there as we go on. But yeah, so if you've not received it, if you've not been balloted, make sure that your details are correct, your address is correct, reach out to them for them to actually send you your your ballot mail. Put your obviously vote, yes or no, send that back in the box, and it needs to reach them by the 20th of February. So obviously a safe time would be now. Do that in and send it. And this is, I think this is first class, I think. Yeah, so is anything else that's interesting? Full pay restoration, vote now on strike action. So I guess this is just a letter from the BMA Council Chair, Professor Phil Banfield. Make sure your vote counts. Return your ballot. So it says return your ballot by the 16th of February 2023, because all votes must be received by midday on 20th of February 2023. Okay, now this is something very interesting that sort of goes on to botches what I was already saying. Now, an FY1 doctor in training gets £14 an hour, £14.09 an hour, with all the training that we've already received. So somebody who's not received as much training working, and this is no disrespect to anybody, I am a firm supporter of you getting what you actually deserve, right? So people who have no skill whatsoever, perhaps haven't even gone to school, didn't get trained for 5 years, didn't have to go through grueling exams in school. I personally had exams like every day, by the way. Like we had a test every day when we were in school. But yeah, never mind that. You go through all of that, you come out as an F1, you get paid £14, and they're proposing that with pay restoration, you're going to be getting £18.69, which I think is fair. That's a good place to start from. I think it's fair. An FY2, so now this is your second year post-grad, we get paid £16.31. Again, my Uber driver that day was shocked to hear that. He earned more than I do by driving. So if you've passed a driving test and you get a car, you put it on the street and you become an Uber driver, even in your spare time, you're getting paid more for just knowing how to drive. So that means, I don't know what the requirements or criteria are to actually become an Uber driver. So let's say it's that you've probably driven for like 2-3 years. So if you've got your license at 18, you've driven for 2 years, you become an Uber driver at 21, you could comfortably get paid more than a doctor would. Moving on, CT 1 to ST1s, SPR 1 and 2 get paid 19 an hour. Propositions that that's going to come up to 25 an hour. CT3, 24 an hour. A CT3 is a registrar. Now, so many people, well, at least I think that's sort of shifting in a way. I'm not sure, but for you to get to CT3, many times these guys sort of take time out. CT3, CT4 level, So they've probably taken a lot of time out in many cases because they're trying to apply, trying to take a year out to a gap year, what's the last video, to try and make your points up and things like that. Let's say they spend 2 years court training already, 2 years in foundation. So let's say 5, 6, 7 years, and you're getting paid £24 an hour to look after somebody, to make, at a registrar level, to actually make decisions that mean life or death. I take responsibility for that. You're getting paid £24 an hour for all that training. Whereas some manager, again, no disrespect to anybody, a manager who has, yes, obviously done all the work and been skilled, I would imagine at 5 years, should be looking at probably earning about the same with much less training, or maybe even more. Yeah, think about that. ST6 to ST8, now these are like, you're already, if you were in GP, like you're already like a few years into your GP training. But now ST6 ST8 level, you get paid 28. So I wasn't wrong. The highest grade of doctors as a junior doctor doesn't even get paid up to £30 an hour. Now as an ST8, you are 8 years into your specialty training, that is plus or minus the number of years you might have taken out for like points gathering, portfolio building, things like that. So this could be potentially a doctor who's been a doctor working almost a consultant for 10, 12 years. You're getting paid £28 an hour. At some point, I tutored online, and I sometimes would get like £30 an hour, £40 an hour in a good hour, sitting in my chair, doing nothing else but speaking to people on the other side of the screen. So actually the job, so like I said, I had a long gap here. I think all the jobs that I did before sort of coming back into F1 paid way more. So coming into training was a significant pay cut for me, by the way. It was crazy that just because obviously, coming into F1 was a significant pay cut for me, and let's just leave it at that. Right? So as an ST3, somebody who's likely a few months away from becoming a consultant, you don't even get paid £30 an hour. So what are you going to vote? I mean, the choice is up to you, but make sure that you put all of this into consideration. Now, if you are not a doctor, you're not a nurse, or anybody who's in the medical field that actually wants to have an understanding of why doctors are striking, here is I set the cards for you so you try and make sense of it. Many years of training, right? Paid for, obviously. Medical school is probably one of the most expensive. If you go to medical school, you're probably going to pay way more than somebody who studied any other course, because studying medicine is bloody expensive. So that's number one. Expensive course to train in. You come out, you are given a huge amount of responsibility. You are, in many cases, the person who is looked up to actually make that final call when people are not sure what to do. And I'm talking obviously the AMPs and PAs, great parts of the team. But so many times when these when somebody's not sure, they will come to the doctors, they will make that call. And if you make the wrong call, your license is on the line. So you have a huge amount of responsibility, but you're not paid to measure up with that. You're just not. Working mad on social hours, like not having a life type of hours. So that means, because trainee doctors are rotating like every 4 to 6 months, you need to wait like a few months to when your next job starts in many cases to actually know, well, will I be off? Will I be able to actually take this leave? You can't plan. There have been times when we're talking about taking holidays, and I'm like, I'm speaking to my husband, and I'm like, oh, babe's like, you're fine, you don't have this trouble, but I don't know what my route is going to say. So I can't tell you that, I'm going to be free, in November, because we're still in January, and I don't know what I'm going to be. I don't know. I'm not in control of my time, right? So we give up all of that. We get trained to give and be the best that we can be. And I think many of us love our jobs deep down, even if the environments are now sort of changing to make that much more stressful. But I know for one, I speak to myself, I was away from training for a long time. I longed to come back into clinical practice. Love it. I've had my ups and downs, but I love what I do. But we also want to actually be in an environment that encourages us to do that. And that's the reason why we're voting to strike. I'm just going to leave this video at that, and hope that if you know a doctor, if you know a nurse, if you know a healthcare worker, somebody who's trying to strike, that you empathise with them, write your MPs, do what you can, encourage people to vote, join the BMA, and vote. Yeah, I think everyone would be better for it. I really think so. I really think so. Doctors, nobody first of all should have to try to think about, oh, do I need to turn off the heating to be able to survive this month? Because yeah, but your £14 an hour salaries in F1, plus and minus tax and all the student loans and all of that, sometimes you need to make that choice. Can I actually survive this month? Can I eat? Can I pay my rent? Can I, you know, can I live? Or you're a doctor, and you shouldn't be having to think about that when you also get into, you need that mental space to actually be able to be rested and go to work and to be able to look after people. So yes, I think this is a good cause, and I'm going to leave the rest with you.